we're heading to one of my coaching clients' homes. He hired me to do some one-on-one tile coaching with him, and since he's local, he wants me to help him pick out some tile at the local Floor and Decor, and he also wants me to make sure that we get the right Tile Redi pan ordered. And I'm going to kind of show him the pros and cons of each type of tile, the size, shape, material, either porcelain, ceramic, or stone, rectified versus pressed edge tiles, all that good stuff we're going to go over with him so that he can make a good decision on what tile to buy and what characteristics of tile make it a good tile versus a bad one. So we're out here taking the back roads out to Granite Bay from my shop. It's a beautiful spring day. Well, technically not spring yet, but it feels like it. So yeah, so we're almost there. We'll get out there, get going on these measurements for him. So for the Tile Redi pan, what I like to do is center the drain if possible.
Okay.
That way you got as even of slope as possible on here. So,
but if we needed to, because of logistics, wherever pipes are and stuff, we could, because it's a custom pan.
Yep.
We're ordering it to fit it.
Exactly.
That's the nice thing about it.
Yes.
And one of the reasons I reached out to you for that system specifically.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit more about that splash wall.
The integrated splash wall in the Tile Redi pans, it makes it so there's no potential failure points at the critical water level where typically the floor and the wall come together. That's where we see most of the failures. And it goes up 6 inches.
Wow.
So that the first connection that you're making is 6 inches above the water line.
Nice.
It comes factory made with that splash wall on there. Same thing with the curb. The curb is not a separate piece. It's connected.
That's great.
And then the drain also. The drain is not a separate piece. It's built into the pan itself.
Because obviously I'm a little nervous at this point about water. So anything that's going to start eliminating those potential failure points, I'm all for it. Perfect.
So yeah, we can actually punch this right into the website.
Nice.
And it'll give you the schematic, specifications, everything in the pan.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
A 12 by 24, like a 15% overage overall is pretty good. So if we're 127, 12.7, half of that would be 6.
6,
So to get to 15%, we're at about 18 square feet.
Okay.
So
that's your extra.
That's our extra. So we're at 145 square feet would be good. That would give us the 15% overage. So yeah, I think we got all the takeoffs. Let's jump on the Tile Redi website and get it ordered up.
Okay.
So yeah, so we're gonna select single curb. Our depth is 45. Isn't that cool?
Nice.
It just transforms, and then we're gonna go.
Nice. And you can see it in real time moving the drain.
Side position. Discount code Tile Coach will save you 10%, which is almost $200.
That's great.
Yeah. Yep. So that's that. We'll just save this cart and email it to you so that you can buy it when you're ready.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, we should be good to go. Let's head out to Floor and Decor.
Okay. Yep. Cool.
Okay, man. Yeah. Let's get out there.
Sweet.
So here at Floor and Decor,
floor tile and wall tile would probably be the first place to start then, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
I'm going to be doing a webinar coming up for designers because I get a lot of questions from designers. These same questions: what tiles are best to be using? Stay tuned. If you're interested in that webinar, please send me a message, tilecoach.com. I'll let you know the dates of that. Once I get enough designers in on the Zoom call, then I'll send out a link with the dates and everything, and you can sign up. So if you're a designer, you're interested in finding out more about what tiles to use from an installer standpoint, send me a message and we'll get you signed up. We call this a pressed edge. So you see how the edge of the tile is just like it's baked in the kiln.
Right.
It has a softer edge on it.
Okay.
This is how porcelain all used to be. I actually really like this look. It's nice. It's got a soft edge, so if you got a little bit of lippage, it gives you some cushion there. It's not like you're hitting a sharp edge.
Right.
And then also when you're grouting, it kind of rounds over a little bit better. So thing with pressed edge tiles is typically you need a little bit larger grout joint.
Okay. Because
the tiles aren't going to be perfectly squared. They're baked in a kiln, so they're going to be just a little bit warped, a little bit off.
Okay.
So I usually go with an 1/8 inch joint on these.
Okay.
You can tell a ceramic because of the body of the tile.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's nothing wrong with using a ceramic, either a ceramic floor tile or ceramic wall tile.
Okay.
This red body, it's more like clay.
Okay.
Yeah, and you could even use it on a floor. I would just say it's not quite as durable.
Okay.
And then if you do get a chip, you'll see the red body of the tile.
Okay.
This is a porcelain tile. This is a ceramic. You'll see how the porcelain has the white body on it.
Okay.
So if there does happen to be a chip, or when you cut it, you don't see that edge of the red body coming through.
I have installed a ceramic tile like that, and I noticed that it seemed to suck a lot of water in from the thin set too. Is that something that you want to account for when you're installing it?
So you could soak your tiles in water, let them soak up the water. It won't absorb that thin set as quick.
Okay.
Does tend to grout a little bit better.
Oh, okay.
Ceramic tile tends to grout because it draws that moisture of the grout out, so the grout sets up really nice.
Okay.
Where the porcelain's not going to absorb that water.
Right.
So you got to let it sit on the wall a little bit longer.
Oh, okay.
Has a tendency when you wash it for it to kind of wash out.
Okay.
When you grout a ceramic tile, that grout really kind of locks into the body of that tile.
Okay.
But as you're looking at them, visually, you don't see a difference between the porcelain and the ceramic.
Right.
And so, yeah, they're both rated for both floor and walls.
Okay.
Another thing to keep in mind for quality of tiles is typically the cheaper tiles aren't going to have as high quality inkjet, because most of these are all done with inkjet printing. Inkjet. So sometimes the cheaper tiles will have, you'll see like the pixelation in the tiles.
Yeah.
You'll see like the pixels. It just won't be as like sharp as of an image. $1.38 a square foot.
Right.
That's kind of on the bottom end of the quality of tiles. I don't think that it really is going to affect the durability of it.
Okay.
But visually, it will look different.
Gotcha.
The other thing to consider is the amount of screens. You see this tile right here, this print show up. You want it to look random. A cheaper tile will have this repeat pattern show up more often than a more expensive tile that might have like 20 different screens. And it all looks random. You get to a cheaper one that might have 5 or 6 screens.
Yeah, so you're going to see it on the wall like
exactly
the same.
So that's something to look out for. So here's an example of a rectified porcelain tile. So we talked about the pressed edge tiles. Now this is a rectified.
Okay.
So rectified tiles are basically come out of a kiln. And then they're cut on a saw. Okay. So that the edges are trued up. They're going to be more square and true. So you can typically do a tighter grout joint with a rectified tile. You see the price has gone up. Now we're up close to $3 a foot,
which is basically double the cost of that other one we looked at. Per foot.
Yeah, and then they usually ease the edge with a slight bevel on it, so it doesn't look like it was just cut on a saw and chipped. But yeah, this is a nice porcelain tile. Okay. Another important note here is die lot. So when you're shopping in one of these big box stores, people will buy tile, but you can also return tile. So they might have bought tile 3 months ago, done a project, brought back their extras that they didn't need. Big box store takes those boxes, puts them right here, mixed in with different die lots. So you can usually find the information, like they're both called Newport Ivory. This one's Newport Ivory 12 by 24. This one's Newport 12 by 24 Newport Ivory. But you'll see right here, this is shade 6. And this one right here is shade 5.
Oh, wow.
So shade is the die lot. The caliber is also something you need to pay attention to. That's the sizing. Okay. So the caliber, the size can be even different. They're the same in this, but this is shade 5, this is shade 6. Okay. If you were to take the two and put them next to each other, you'll definitely see the difference in tones. This has a lot darker, kind of pinker purpley tone. This has a lighter tone. So we should talk about the difference between a high gloss polish and a floor. You don't want to put this on a bathroom floor. It can be very slippery. It also shows like everything. You get dog hair on it. You get water spots. Everything shows up on a polished porcelain tile. Yes. Not so much polished stone is a lot more forgiving.
Okay.
But polished porcelain, for some reason, just shows everything.
Really?
So if you wanted a shower wall, might be good. This is a porcelain, and look how dark
Oh yeah.
the body is of this. So just like that ceramic that was a brown clay body, even though that this is porcelain, which just means it's been baked at higher temperatures to create a denser body, it still has that dark background, and you see that on the edges. You see it, and you'll especially see it when you cut it. You'll cut it, and then you'll see that dark edge. So if you're doing a porcelain, I say try to get the body to match the surface as much as possible. Here's a really nice pressed edge porcelain.
Oh yeah.
Again, grouts up beautifully.
Right.
The body, look how close the body matches the surface. This is gonna lend for beautiful cuts. You can polish the edges around, you can sand the edges down, make it look really nice. So now we're getting up close to that $4 a square foot. So the quality's going up here.
Okay.
For shower floors, we want to go with something smaller.
Okay.
Hexagon mosaics, stuff that comes on a sheet. Porcelain, either 2x2. This is probably our most popular format for a shower floor.
This is 2x2.
2x2 mosaic.
Okay.
These mosaics would be great to work on a shower pan.
Yeah.
I try to stay away from penny tiles. For one, there's just so much grout in it, and then also the sheet, and you talked about the individual sheets. It really shows itself.
Okay.
In a shower.
Yeah. So what do you think about something like that with that mosaic? Is that going to look
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems to be a little less polarizing than the other stuff on that other wall.
Yeah. So in here we're getting that pressed edge detail where you get the softness and you don't have those sharp edges.
Yep.
Those porcelains, like even this one. Yeah, see, here's a rectified mosaic.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's not going to feel great on your feet.
It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't. So this pressed edge, much easier to install. Okay. Much more forgiving with these guys.
Gotcha.
Subway tiles, we haven't talked about subway tiles much, but subway tiles is a great look for showers. It's kind of more of a classic look.
Right.
We didn't start doing big tiles until recently.
Right.
Throughout history, we've always had smaller ceramic wall tiles.
Okay.
I like it. To me, it's pleasing to the eye. I love seeing subway tiles. You see, subway tiles is just a generic term for a rectangle ceramic tile for the most part. But they work very good in showers. Very easy to install.
Okay.
Very easy to cut. Easy to handle. The downside is more grout. So a lot of times people are trying to get away from grout. That's why our formats are getting bigger and bigger.
Gotcha.
And it's just a different look. The look of a stone, even if it's stone like porcelain, much different than the look of a man-made piece of clay, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of drawn to the 12 by 24 because they'll go up fast. You're going to cover space quickly, but it makes it bulky. I feel like this has, because of the amount of grout lines, it has visual interest to me. Yeah. And you're going to be looking right at it down that hallway.
And I would say a ceramic wall tile is a less serious look, if that makes sense.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
12 by 24 stone look can be a little more bold and statement making, where ceramic wall tiles, again, I think because our eye is just so used to seeing it over time that we see it and we go, that's what tiles should look like. That's what tiles, it's not as striking. So if ease of installation is important to you, definitely I would consider subway tiles. Okay. There is a misconception that people think that the bigger the tile, the faster it's going to go, which isn't the case. It's not the case.
No.
Because you're having heavier tiles that are going to want to sag and move. They're harder to handle. Yeah. You make a bad cut, you're destroying more of a tile. Every time you pick that tile up, you have a chance to damage it.
I didn't think about that.
Smaller tiles, easier to handle, easier to cut. It's going to go faster. And also, if your walls aren't perfect, if you have a little, maybe a little roundness in the wall, this wall tile is going to form over it,
Gotcha.
as opposed to having lippage that you're dealing with.
A big one is you push on this end and that end's popping out when it's 24 inches long.
Correct.
This has a little bit, even in
smaller.
that.
Yep.
Gotcha.
If you had a bow in your wall, this would be more shape to the wall.
Okay. And then so all the same things apply, ceramic versus porcelain versus the different edges
most
and
subway
whatnot.
tiles are ceramic.
Okay.
You can see the body is that's a ceramic.
Yep.
And here is a porcelain. Here's a
Okay.
this is kind of the Japanese porcelain look.
Okay.
Very nice.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little harder to cut.
Okay.
These porcelains are really popular right now. These porcelain subway tiles.
Gotcha.
So, and this has the coordinating.
Oh, nice.
That's what's nice about that. I mean,
Yeah.
coordinating mosaic to go with the
Yeah.
the wall tile. I really like that. I'm glad we're here at the glass tiles because I do not advise doing these in a shower.
Okay.
I mean, people love doing the look of glass tile.
Okay.
Maybe if it was just one band going around.
Right.
But glass does not have very good thermal shock resistance.
Oh.
So if it happens to be cold, hot water gets on it, that's thermal expansion that's happening at a different rate than the mortar behind it.
Oh, wow.
So over time, they have a tendency to crack.
Okay.
The other thing is they're hard to cut. They cut very slow and you need a special diamond blade.
Right.
You have to cut it from the back so the chips don't show because it's clear,
Right.
and then cut it.
Okay.
So it's a really time-consuming installation. I do not recommend it for a DIYer.
Gotcha.
Even a backsplash, a small area, stay away from the glass subway tiles. Go with ceramic.
Okay.
Here's some natural stones. Travertine works really good. Actually, travertine is a limestone that's formed in water itself, so it can get wet. We've used travertine for a long time in our showers.
Okay.
It does require sealers though.
Gotcha.
It's porous.
Okay.
See how porous, how light the back is?
Yep.
So just requires a sealer, but the natural stone, no matter how much we try to emulate it with the porcelains, you still can't get the exact replication of a natural stone.
Okay.
So I would just say it can be done. Just use it with caution that you're gonna need to be doing maintenance on it.
How often do you have to seal something like that?
I would say once a year.
Okay.
Yeah, once a year. So more marbles. Again, these could go in a shower, but I would say these are probably better off in a dry area.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the white marbles can tend to stain. They can get water stains in them and darkening and splotchy.
Okay.
So you just have to be careful with the white marbles in wet areas.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot of talk of pebble mosaics. Pebble mosaics.
Yeah.
So again, can be a great surface. I have pebbles in our home up in the mountains. Love it. I love the look and the feel of it.
Sure.
Bottom line with tile showers is you want them to dry out as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Whatever standing water you can get off of there, squeegees work really good. Even if you just kind of help it down the drain,
Right.
that shower is going to dry out a lot quicker, and then you don't deal with that mold and scum that gets on the grout. The ones that have this limestone in it, this particular limestone, and it comes in a couple different colors. Let's see. I see it here, and I see it here.
Oh, okay.
That limestone, we've had trouble with it staining from the inside and creating dark stains. So if you see this limestone in the pebbles, don't do it.
Okay.
These all very durable, like basalt, these kind of mosaics. I haven't had trouble with any of these kind, except for the ones that include that limestone right there. So yeah, Ashley, I hope you got some information off of that.
It's a ton.
I know there's a lot of information, but maybe we do a follow-up one-on-one coaching call when you gather your materials and we're ready to set. We'll go over everything, make sure you got all the supplies you need, make sure you got the layout correct, and make sure that we just get off on the right foot. We'll do that. Awesome,
Appreciate
man.
it. Yeah, thank you so much.
And for you guys, again, if you want to be part of that designer webinar, shoot me a message, get a hold of me. And for everybody else, I love you. Love being your tile coach. We'll see you on the next video.